Writing Variant Standard. Title: How to Stay Physically, Emotionally, Cognitively, and Socially Healthy After 65. When Margaret turned 65, she celebrated with a small gathering at her daughter's house. Friends teased her about officially becoming a senior, but she brushed it off with a laugh. In truth, she felt younger than her age, and she was determined to keep it that way. The years ahead, she decided, would be about living fully, physically, emotionally, cognitively, and socially. Her mornings began with movement. Margaret laced up her sneakers before the sun climbed too high and walked around the neighborhood. The rhythm of her steps kept her joints loose, but more than that, it grounded her. Some days she walked with her neighbor Helen, chatting about grandchildren and recipes. Other days she walked alone, savoring the quiet, the smell of freshly cut grass, and the sound of birds greeting the day. On rainy mornings, she joined a senior yoga class online, stretching her arms and legs, grateful for the way her body still responded. Physical health wasn't just about avoiding illness. It was about honoring her body's ability to carry her forward. But Margaret also knew that health extended far beyond muscles and bones. Emotional balance mattered just as much. After her husband passed away, she had felt the weight of loneliness pressing on her. At first, she tried to bury her grief in chores, keeping herself busy, but she realized healing required something deeper, allowing herself to feel. She started journaling each evening, writing down small moments of gratitude, the warmth of a cup of tea, a call from her son, the satisfaction of finishing a puzzle. Slowly, she noticed her moods lifting. She began practicing meditation, not perfectly, but consistently enough to find calm. On difficult days, she gave herself permission to rest, to cry, or to reach out to a friend. Emotional health, she discovered, was less about pretending to be fine and more about caring for her heart with honesty and gentleness. To keep her mind sharp, Margaret embraced curiosity. She signed up for a Spanish class at the community center, laughing at her own mispronunciations, but proud of every new word learned. Twice a week, she tackled crossword puzzles, sometimes calling her daughter to debate tricky clues. She read biographies, novels, even science articles that stretched her thinking. "The brain is like a garden," she told Helen one afternoon. "If you don't plant new seeds, weeds take over." Learning gave her a sense of purpose and reminded her that growing older didn't mean stopping growth. In fact, it meant deepening it. Staying socially connected was perhaps the most surprising challenge. When Margaret retired, she expected more free time to see friends, but she realized many of them had moved away or become consumed with family responsibilities. Instead of waiting for invitations, she took initiative. She volunteered at the library's reading program, sitting in a circle of children, their eyes wide as she brought stories to life. She joined a walking group and occasionally hosted dinners, keeping meals simple but filling her house with laughter. On Sundays, she attended church not only for faith but for community. Conversations over coffee after service left her feeling less alone, tied to something larger than herself. Her grandchildren, too, became part of her social health. Rather than just watching from the sidelines, she played board games, baked cookies, and even let them teach her how to use social media. At first, she was hesitant, worried she'd embarrass herself, but soon she was posting photos of her garden and leaving comments on her friends' updates. It gave her another thread of connection in an increasingly digital world. There were days, of course, when staying healthy felt like work. Aching knees, moments of forgetfulness, pangs of missing her husband, these reminded her that aging came with challenges. But Margaret refused to let those challenges define her. Instead, she leaned into small, steady habits: a balanced breakfast, a phone call to her sister, a nap when her body asked for it, a walk, no matter how short. These became her foundation. One autumn afternoon, sitting on her porch with a cup of tea, she reflected on her life after 65. She realized that health wasn't about perfection or avoiding every ailment. It was about balance. Physical movement kept her strong, emotional care kept her resilient, cognitive engagement kept her curious, and social connection kept her joyful. Together, they formed the fabric of her well-being. As the sun dipped low, Margaret smiled to herself. She didn't know what the next decade would bring, but she knew she was living it the right way, not just adding years to her life, but adding life to her years.